Hey now, welcome to the Dirty Side of the Track, America's leading Formula One podcast. I'm Brian, that's Rob. It is the end of the year, it is the end of the season, and it is time for the Dirties, plus a lot more. Rob, how are you, man?
I'm great. I'm not sure you're going to fulfill that promise of a lot more, but there's definitely the dirty side awards, the dirties,
That's true.
a little bit of news and social, bigger video vault because you skipped it last week. So it's like um, an extra round of Santa sack of pulling out all those videos and unwrapping them and seeing what we've got. Yeah, I was waiting to see if you
Yeah,
would go there.
yes.
It's not the mouth it comes out of, it's the mind it goes into, Brian. That's what they say.
Oh,
Um,
okay then.
anyway, I see you've done it again. You pulled the face again. The prosecution rests. Anyway,
Yeah,
it's the last episode of The Dirty Side of the Track
for
this
this
year.
calendar year.
And this will wrap up season 2. We will move officially into season 3 the next time we record, which really doesn't mean a whole big difference to anybody out there other than me, really, when I name the audio files for saving them. But anyway, it will be season 3 soon. So yeah, news and social, Brian's video vault, the Dirty Side Awards, the Dirties, and then that'll be it. We will be getting off to go and the ball will drop. Go on, Brian. Here he goes.
I had to remember, I had to remember when we publish this. It'll be Sunday, so you're right. It'll be New Year's Eve when we put this out there.
It will be, yeah. I mean, it's not like it's that far ahead, being as it's already Saturday. But I like the way you still haven't drunk too much this time of year. You can work out there's not a big delay
Friday.
between
It's
Saturday and Sunday.
Friday.
Oh yeah, it's Friday, isn't it? Yeah.
Nailed it.
It is that weird time of year though, between Christmas and New Year. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, I think everybody kind of falls into this grey area in between where you have no idea what the day is, what time it is. The only question you really ask yourself is it early enough to start drinking? Which is always a resounding yes, no matter what time of day it is.
Or
So,
when you leave the
yeah.
house, the question is, do I have pants on? And I look down, I go, I do. Thank God, I can keep going.
Oh, so clearing up that it is actually Friday and it will be Sunday when we publish it. So that's the big breaking news of the week. Let's move on to news and social.
Do it.
Um, so anybody hoping for a downturn in Red Bull soon is going to be disappointed. Adrian Newey has come out and said he was not planning to leave F1 anytime soon. He was being asked about various different things because it was his 65th birthday coming up well, it was when he was interviewed. It was his 65th birthday on Boxing Day. And yeah, he said he's absolutely still got the hunger for it. Looking forward to the new regs. Looking to see what else he can squeeze out of next year's car, which is exactly what the rest of the grid wants to hear.
Well, I'm happy he's not going anywhere. I mean, F1 is about being the best of the best. It's not standard chassis like IndyCar. It's about innovation and stretching the limits, and no one does it better than Newey. So,
That's the thing.
I'd love for this like more parity, but if you got a guy like that who can do it, are you gonna chase him off?
It's the eternal problem that F1 always has. When you are a meritocracy and you're just going to publish regulations and tell everybody to go after it and see what's the best they can possibly squeeze out of these regs, every now and again, some people are going to nail it way better than others.
Right.
So for all these people that are going, oh yeah, we've got to do this to slow Red Bull down, or when trying out back in the day when they wanted Mercedes to be pulled back in again, careful what you wish for because, like you say, it's not a sport where everyone gets the same chassis. It's the whole idea of it that it's a
Right.
meritocracy, but you just got to hope that everyone else can kind of just try to raise their game a bit because he is a genius, and we did the Veil's Tale on him. I mean just absolutely wow. Everything that he's ever basically drawn with his pencil, I think, has just gone ridiculously fast. Whether
So
it's a
if
boat,
people,
a car.
yeah, if people didn't hear the Veil's Tale about Adrian Newey, you can find all of these episodes on www.dirtysideofthetrack.com, special episodes, and click Veil's Tales. And I'm only saying that, pub, because I worked on it this week to make sure everything was updated.
A little bit of a sad one next that we'll just get out of the way before we return to some more light-hearted stuff is that today, as we record, the 29th of December,
Which is Friday.
which is Friday apparently, is the 10-year anniversary since the skiing accident that really changed Schumacher's life. I can't believe that's 10 years ago. Feels like it was like a couple of, it's only 2 or 3 years ago, but no, 10 years ago. And I'm not going to get into this whole, like, there's all this frenzy of like what conditions he in and all this kind of other crap. And I'm like, do you know what? Family wants to keep it private. Let the family keep it private. But there was a little piece of information let out, which I kind of found intriguing, which is that I don't know if this is recently or it was longer ago in his treatment, but in their kind of private estate or whatever, he's been driven around in a road car, a Mercedes road car apparently, and had noises from the F1 track played to kind of stimulate his brain with familiar sounds. So, I mean, that's a sad sentence to read out as it is, but um, it's one of those things I'm not going to dive into too deep
Yeah.
because they want to be private. Let's leave it private. We know we're never going to see him probably in an active public role ever again. But yeah, 10 years, man, that is a long time ago.
Most certainly.
Oh,
And we miss him, and obviously his family are always in our thoughts because that's got to be hard for them. Then we saw a story. I saw this too, Rob. I'll let you kind of give the color to this. But Valtteri was interviewed, and he says, I kind of know how Checo is feeling, being sort of the number two to a number one who's epic. And so, you put the notes in here, but I read the headline and I saw the click, and I'm like, oh, Valtteri's very self-aware. Like, and he said, I didn't see it at the time per se, but like he understands what it is to go up against a goat.
yeah, and I was well, and I thought when I first read it, it was going to be kind of that more um, number two syndrome kind of. Oh, it's not fair. They prioritize that driver. I know what it's like to
Right.
be a number two, but he wasn't. He was like
Nope.
saying, as a absolute top competitive driver, you never want to admit that your teammate is better than you because, as we've always said, the best measurement you've got is your teammate because you're in the same machinery. And he said he can look back now and say he was living in a state of denial that he would in his head try to come up with reasons why, oh yeah, they favor Lewis or whatever. He said, but since leaving, he kind of look back on that era and kind of go, what? I was just beaten by a much better driver, which is you just can't accept why you're there. But looking back, he can kind of go, yeah, no matter what I did, he was better than me.
And it's fascinating. Last thing for me on this is Valtteri for years was always on the podium when he was at Mercedes. So it wasn't as though when he understands Checo's feeling, it's night and day in my mind between Checo and
Yeah.
Valtteri as the number two. I would literally come upstairs in 2019 and 2020 from watching the races, and my wife would go, "Who was on the podium?" And she would guess between only three people: Valtteri, Max, and Lewis. And she'd just try to guess the order every time. And so that's how like common it was, where someone who did not know knew the three people who were most likely to be on the podium. And when I tell her Valtteri won, she got excited, and so on and on. So, and I just watched the Australian 2014 first race of the turbo hybrid era, or at least the 15-minute version of it, on F1 TV this morning. And Valtteri in a Williams was pounding around the circuit. It lost his wheel. If that hadn't happened, he might have won that race in that
Was
Williams. So,
that
yeah, go ahead.
no? Was that Williams that had the martini
Yes,
livery on?
it
Oh my
did.
gosh!
So good. Anyway, so my point being, I'm not knocking Checo. I love Valtteri's reflection and thoughts and introspection on this, but he and Checo also occupy different areas of the I went up against a goat in the same car situation, is what I would
Yeah.
say. So anyway, not defending Valtteri because he's been on the show, but I am defending Valtteri because he's been on the show.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think when Checo finally leaves Red Bull, he might then have that same kind of reflection where, because right now,
Yeah.
I guess what Bottas is almost sort of second guessing is that right now Checo mentally is probably building up reasons why everything's against him, and he doesn't want to admit that it's just pure driver skill. But anyway, talking of his teammate. Talk about clickbait of the week headline. This is brilliant. I love it when you see the same story reported in completely different ways. So my favorite, I won't give the one that I found with the ESPN headline because that's just too vanilla. Some on a different publication, I found the Max denied Mercedes seat headline. This is obviously not what it seems, but go on, you got me. Let's have a click and see what's going on. Um, it's the off season. When the best story you can find is that while on holiday in Portugal, Max Verstappen was denied by the staff of a car rental firm Sixt for being too young to drive a car that can do 195 miles an hour. It was a Mercedes AMG GT, and he got denied it as being able to handle a machine of that power. Uh,
I mean, I recognize there are
gosh.
rules, and when you're behind the counter, you're told what the rules are and you have to do. But if no one there at the rental car agency knew who Max was, like no one could walk over and go, Psst, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, if this had been in the US, I would have maybe given a lot more credibility to them not knowing who he was. In
Right.
mainland Europe, it's kind of like Can't imagine this person didn't know who he was. Like you say, maybe they're new, just got the job, and
Right.
they're just going down the screen. Take a look at the license. How
But
old
no
are
one else in
they?
the office like recognized him from afar and walked up and go, "Hey, noob, just
Or
give it to
didn't
him.
know
It'll
he
be
was
fine."
coming in advance. By the way, Max Verstappen's coming today. Keep an eye out for him.
I
I
mean,
I will in a minute, but I've got to deny this guy here a Mercedes first.
the funny thing is, I maybe he used an assumed name for the reservation before he got there. I don't know. It's a great question. I once went on Segway scooters with a friend of mine here in Chicago, and I might have had a couple of pops while I was making the reservation, and so it was myself, Brian Saperstein, and my guest, Daryl Strawberry, who famously played baseball for the New York Mets here in America. And so we showed up to the reservation, and they were so excited to meet Daryl Strawberry, who is like 6'7" black man who's probably 50 some odd years old by now. And this is back in the day, and it was a 6-foot white guy named Mike who showed up in his spot. And I go, "Oh, it's actually this is not Daryl, it's Mike." And so they're like, "Oh," they were so disappointed because I'd used an assumed name who was famous.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I didn't read into how the story unfolded. I'm pretty sure they probably gave him the Mercedes in the end, um, because you wouldn't like to think they know how to take the reservation, but not know how
Oh,
to keep the reservation.
it's all about
Uh,
holding the reservation. Anyone can take the reservation. With that, let's
right,
open the video vault this week.
for the final time this year.
Final time in 23. All right. And as Rob said, this is a bit of a bumper crop because last week we punted with such a large episode. I do have 4 or 5 that I'd highlight, and I'm going to be honest, you're going to find a theme. The funniest moments of the 2023 F1 season on the F1 channel. Nearly 6 minutes. I loved it. But I am a sucker for these reviews every year. You can count on me sitting in the basement, watching YouTube, and whatever F1 pumps out from a yearly retrospective, funniest, team radios, overtakes, whatever. I'm there for it. Not surprisingly, number 2, top 10 dramatic moments of the 2023 F1 season, 11 minutes long F1 channel. This one actually put a big smile on my face because I'd forgotten about some of these moments. So in addition to being dramatic in their own right, they were also fun to watch and kind of go back through the season. And for a season that I've talked with a lot of you individually on Twitter and other places you've said wasn't your favorite in terms of drama, this will find it for you, so that'll be fun. The F1 Grid does Secret Santa 2023 on the F1 channel. 14 minutes. I love these. These get me every year since they started them. I feel like it was like 17 or so that they started it. Always good, always fun. Not everybody participates, but those who do make the most of it. They also released an XL version of it with every one of these from the past, sort of like a marathon of them. Now, I did not go watch that. I'm saving that for a special occasion, but the 23 one
Saving it.
is worth it. Did you get a chance to see this one yet, Rob? I know you like these
No,
two in the
well,
past.
kind of, because different teams and different social media channels have kind of chopped it and dropped it piecemeal. So I've kind of seen, a gift being opened, a gift being given. So I need to go and sit and watch the whole thing through,
It's
but I
good.
kind of seen probably the highlights of it.
It,
But the next one, I want you to read the next one out. I loved.
yes, the 2023 F1 season animated on the F1 channel. 3 minutes. This is one from last week that I didn't get to. Last year, I felt like they upped their game on the animation. It had always been meh. But in 22, I felt like they tied a story through it. And in
Yes.
23, they did it even better. They brought back topics throughout the 3 minutes. It made me laugh. I enjoyed it. Rob, how about you?
Yeah, no, I loved it. And if anybody doesn't know what this is, it's not just an animated version of the season. It is. I'm not even quite sure how. I was going to say it's almost like an animated Pictionary of F1 2023. Like the picture and the theme that you're going to see won't bear any relevance to say the thing that happened on track, but they'll take team radio, they'll take sound bites, and they'll draw an alternate version of what that audio could go over. And I've made a terrible attempt at describing it, so you got to go watch it. But it's very clever and very well done.
It is, and it is. The last one for this week is Beat the Challenge with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, episode 3, on the Shell channel. So I went outside the F1 channel a little bit and found the Shell channel. It's 6.5 minutes, hosted by Maddie P1, who always does a great job on these. This time, though, it's less of a competition, if you will, and more of a reflection on pictures they have on the table, which was excellent. And if I'm being honest, I found the first 2 of these a bit clunky for reasons I can't enunciate that well, which is not good for someone who lives on a podcast here on the weekends, but I would say it really tickled my fancy. Check that out. Beat the Challenge with Charles and Carlos, episode 3 on the Shell channel, 6.5 minutes. Plus, next week, a teaser in the video vault. We've never had this before. Bum, bum, bum. Listener Laura has sent me a video. It's in my inbox. It's about 16 minutes. I've not had a chance to watch it yet. I cannot wait. It'll be here for next time. So, Laura, thank you, and everybody better tune in to hear what she offered. So with that,
before we move across to the awards, and before you fire up the amazing theme tune for the awards, I do need to have a final Rob's rant of the year.
Oh boy,
which is that I still haven't got around to watching the Braun series with Keanu.
I haven't either.
Because over here it is on HBO, or some other channel that I don't have a subscription for.
Right. Hulu,
this might not be HBO. It might be something else. Hulu. It'll be. Insert name of TV carrier here that Rob doesn't have.
Okay.
It's on that. In the UK, it's on Disney Plus.
Oh.
I've got Disney Plus, but I've got Disney Plus in the US. If I use a VPN to make it seem like I'm in the UK, thinking I can get around this with my cunning plan to log into my Disney Plus, when I try and log into my Disney Plus, it knows that my account is an American account and still only shows me the content from America. So I'm very, very upset because these TV companies should know how much of an F1 fan I am, should know that we've got kind of almost personal tie to the story with our pit lane Paul being part of the show. I just want to watch the damn thing, and I'm going to have to I'm going to have to steal someone's Hulu password or find some way of doing this because everyone keeps going on about how great it is.
Yeah.
And I sit there going, yeah, I'm going to watch it.
I haven't watched it yet, but I think I do have Hulu. This is one of those things where my family is out of control. And I think we have everything except Paramount Plus. And so they came to me and said, Dad, we got to get Paramount Plus. I'm like, kid, you don't. I'm like, we have all the rest. Just figure something out on any of the other things. But anyway, I have not seen it.
Might drop one. Maybe I'll drop one because the other annoying thing is just before they dropped the Braun series, just before something else came out. It was Hulu because something else came out on Hulu that my wife wanted to watch.
Yeah.
So we did the whole let's do a 7-day trial and cancel it so that we can binge through what you want to watch for free.
But now you can't do
and
the
now
trial
it knows
again.
that I did the trial, so I can't do another trial.
Well, dude, just use a different email.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to do it. I think they got an IP. I think they might have an IP.
We'll crack
lock
this
on
offline.
We'll crack it, but that's the end of my rant. That's the last rant of 2023 is TV companies conspiring to stop me watching Braun.
And
now I'm relaxed and we can get on with it.
With that, let's do the awards. It is time for the 2023 installation of The Dirties. We know you've been waiting. I'm excited to do this. I cannot wait to go through these with my co-host, Robert. The Dirties are here, Rob. Why don't you explain to people a little bit how this is going to go?
Well, so we are going to have 2 sets of awards. We have the awards to be given out by myself and Brian, which are... well, they're all going to be called the Dirties, but there are 8 categories that myself and Brian will read out our nominations. We each got 2 nominations each, and for each award, we've nominated a decider who will actually award the Dirty for us. And then we also have some social media voted Dirties, where we put out 4 polls into the wonderful world of the Tinternet. It was a combination of a few different social media channels, which we have pulled the results together. Brian doesn't even know the results.
I don't. Because, I can't wait to see these. You're like the accounting firm over there with the envelopes.
I am. I am the accounting firm, and I may have spent a little bit too much on catering, but I think I've pretty much nailed it.
Did you charge it into the Dirty Side account?
If we had one, I would have done. Right.
Wait, can I just give a quick thanks? Because we also amplified this on Twitter, and you did this too. So if you want to thank anybody, but I'd like to thank Jonty's Corner and Ahmed Baukba, who went through for us and retweeted it. And these are amazing F1 Twitter friends, and so part of F1 Twit. I think they're amazing accounts. You guys got to follow them. I will put a comment in the show when we publish it. I'll put a comment down in the Twitter to link to them. If you're not following them already, you should be. So thanks, fellas, for the amplification.
Hey, so the first we're going to go through which one? We'll go through ours first, and then hit the listener ones afterwards, I think, or the social media ones afterwards, I think. Yeah, let's do that first. Let's go through our no. No, culminate up to our biggest award, because the biggest award is obviously King of the Pits for the entire season.
Okay.
So we absolutely have to do that. So okie dokie. On the world of social media, we put out 4 different awards to be voted for. We had the best
Yeah.
radio exchange of the season. We had the most memeable moment of the season. We had the special livery of the season, and we had the most memorable moment of the season. And the reason we kind of did this was it was easy to kind of pick sort of 4-ish. Well, not 4-ish, exactly 4, because that's the only number you're allowed to put on the polls on Twitter and Threads. Another Instagram was a nightmare trying to do it because it was in the comments. But anyway, we will start, as is tradition, with number 1. Best radio exchange of the year, 2023, as voted for. I can't do that voice. I'm going to stop. Right. Okay. So it was Ocon in Mexico calling into his engineers to say, "Tell that Haas I'm coming for it." You know, big Charlie, big ones say, "I'm coming for you. Tell them they better be ready." They didn't apparently need to get ready for another 17 laps because that's how long it took them to overtake.
I've got you in my sights. I'll see you in 30 minutes.
It's like a really slow version of Top Gun where they get towed for the missile lock. Number 2.
I think I'd go
Is
crazy
anyone
with
else
that tone for that long.
Yeah. Okay. Is anyone else reporting rain? Yes, it was good old George's rain sweat debate.
Just so you know, one of the votes in that was me.
I did as well. I voted for this one.
Oh.
The third one was Science, It's on Purpose. Ice Cold Carlos, when they were warning him about Lando being his DRS. It's on purpose. And then the fourth and final one was the Big Lizards on track, and Max and GP having a debate about whether Godzilla had a baby or not. So this one swung 3 ways over the course of it. First off, George raced off into the lead with the sweat rain. And surprisingly, Ocon coming to get Haas started to come back.
Oh, fascinating.
Then, maybe after Vincenzo, who's been on the show before, who's a big Ferrari fan, came in and did he vote? I don't even know if he shared it or not, but suspiciously, once he got involved, Ferrari, Signs, It's on Purpose, came racing through into the lead and took the award for the best radio exchange of the year. So, well done, Carlos.
Congratulations.
They won a trophy this year.
Your trophy is in the mail, and by in the mail I mean virtual, and by virtual I mean not going to happen.
The next one, the most memeable moment of the season. Number 1, George's pose from the F1 intro, where he has his arms spread, stood in the corridor. That got photoshopped onto so many different things. It was insane. Then we had Oscar's Crumb's face, or Crikey, whichever face you want to go for. Well, I don't even remember the incident. Something had happened, and he kind of pulled the face to the camera. They just happened to be there.
To the camera. Right, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't remember exactly what it was either.
I can't remember what it was. Then this one really got memed a lot at the beginning of the season. We even did it. It was an episode. It was artwork for one of our episodes, which was the Alonso hype train, which mainly just involved putting Alonso's face on the front of a train.
But we'd been doing that for years when he led all the DRS trains. So I think that was also part of why it was exciting. He was no longer leading a 12-car procession in Monaco.
And last but not least, this one had more variety, but it definitely caught the internet's attention, was the return of Danny Rick. So Danny Rick coming back, whether it was Honey Badgers, whether it was us posting that one of the F1 intro, but every face is Danny Ricciardo. I mean, that had quite a lot of love and attention. Although there really was only one winner here. Do you know which one it was, Brian?
I'm guessing George.
George by an absolute mile.
He was everywhere the whole season.
As I had it up across the
George.
72% of the votes.
Oh my gosh!
This one was just not even close. As also, this one was closer, but still not that close.
I feel like I know this one too. I'll read these and then you tell the answer and I'll see if I'm right.
Okay,
so
go for
special livery of the season. 4 options: Ferrari in Vegas with that white on the car, so beautiful, so beautiful. Williams in Silverstone, where we had the flag, right? Isn't that the one where the British
GB flag on the back?
Yeah, so good. The Williams Golf, which ran 3 times, Singapore, Japan, and Qatar. Oh, man, I'll just be honest, that's the one I voted for. I thought it was a thing of beauty. If they made one of these little doohickey cars like this in a Williams Golf, I'd buy 4 of them. And then the pink Alpine, which was Alpine's car for the first couple races of the season. Rob, what were the results, sir?
Reverse order, coming in with only 8% of the vote. Williams GB in Silverstone.
What?
Taking the third step of the podium with 16%,
Alpine?
Pink Alpine.
Yeah, okay. I
Second
don't
step
track with
with
the first, but I get the second.
Second step with 18%, Vegas Ferrari, which means a
Yes.
landslide almost 60%, 58% Williams Golf.
This deserves the applause. It's so good. The Williams Golf, so very good.
Okay, the last one. The last one where on any given day this week, all four have been in the lead. This is the only one that has been this tight. In fact, I had to just refresh it just now, which technically is kind of bad because I may have forgotten we were going to record today, thought we were going to record tomorrow. So I kind of left the poll open, which means there might be a couple more that come in after this, but we'll just pretend that never happened. Okay?
In Chicago, not all the votes get counted anyway, so that's fine.
Ooh. Okay. So this was most memorable moment. And we had Max's Monaco pole with that insane final lap that we talked about last week with Rob Reed and the Discord guys. Carlos getting his Monza pole. Tell me we got it. Tell me we got it. We are checking.
Is he Scottish?
Yes, you got it. Huh?
Is he Scottish now?
Yes, he is. Yes. Carlos McScience. Didn't you know that?
Sean McConnery.
Lewis getting his pole in Hungary.
I forgot that happened.
You forgot that happened? Oh my gosh.
I know.
And last but not least, Ocon getting on the podium in Monaco. Like I say, all four of these took the lead at different points. This is the closest one. Although a gap has opened up this morning. As I looked at it last night, this was much closer than this. But bizarrely, the one that was the leader for the early part of the week, coming in fourth, Sainz in Monza. I voted for that one. 20% of the vote. 1% ahead, Ocon.
Oh, wow.
In Monaco.
Wow,
21%.
I'm happy we did this now. I wouldn't have seen this coming. This is great.
And this is the one that was flipped around the other way last night, but we've had a surge this morning. So you've either got Max's pole in Monaco or Lewis's pole in Hungary.
Max's pole's got to be.
Max's pole has got to be. What was a 1% gap last night in favour of Max became a 10% margin in favour of Lewis, 35% to 25%. Lewis
Really?
over Max. We've had an absolute Lewis surge overnight, or maybe early hours of Europe, but overnight for us. So yes, Lewis getting Hungary pole is the last social media award. So we need the congratulations for that one as well.
We do. Here it comes with the applause, but I want to highlight one thing. On Twitter, shout out Double Waved Yellow. Said none of the above on this one, and they offered a different moment of the year. And I can't say what it is because I bring it up in our proper awards up above. But I will say I agreed with them, and I offered that since you had not included that moment here, you should be given 4 penalty points on your license, Robert.
Maybe. There was a number of them that we could have picked. But like I say, blame Elon for not allowing us to put more options on the polls.
When you need to blame anybody, blame Elon. All right. So, now we're moving to the top 8 of the Dirties. Most surprising driver. And so, with this, we will both have at least 1 or 2 or sometimes 3. We should have had 2 is really what we targeted nominations.
We should have had 2. I'm already sensing that, Brian, you haven't stuck to the rules by how you've introduced this.
Bum, bum, bum.
So I've got 2 for all of
my
them.
nominations, okay. But you go first. What are your nominations, Robert?
Yes, because you are the deciding vote on this one. So Brian will be awarding the dirty here for the most surprising driver. My 2 are Alex Albon for just generally it wasn't surprising that he was a nice guy because we all love him, but putting that car where it did not belong over and over and over again. And the one that really caught me by surprise that I would never have said, maybe I just thought the hype leading up to his appearance in F1 was they were overhyping him, but we probably just witnessed, in my opinion, the best rookie since Hamilton in Piastri, and that I didn't see that coming. I did not see it coming that he would be that good. So, what are your 2 nominations, Brian?
Alex Albon and Oscar Piastri.
Brilliant.
And so, the most surprising driver of 2023 and the award recipient of the Dirty is none other than Oscar Piastri. An amazing rookie.
Watch out, Lando's going to break his trophy in a minute.
Of course. It's broken. I thought he was great. I agree with the reasoning you had. Before I let you move on to number 2, I will just say this. Both of those were worthy nominees. And I had Alex winning this award for most of the season. but the way Oscar really, the professionalism that a rookie showed, not just talent, but the professionalism that he showed as part of that team, put him over the top. Plus his mom's Twitter account's great, which we already talked about. And on to number 2, the biggest disappointment of the season. This one, Rob has the opportunity to award the Dirty, and I have 2 nominees for biggest disappointment of the season. I can't even say it. I'm so disappointed. Number 1, Mohammed bin Salayem. It just feels like he's been making a mess of things here and there. He never really stepped back from the sport when he said all those things about women and all that. And he goes, I'm going to step back, and then decided, nah. He has been grabbing people for photo ops at the end of races. You'll see him grab a driver's arm and yank him over to get a picture, and then all of a sudden he's super cringy at the prize giving, which I was trying to enjoy until it became the Muhammad show, which he was very cringy. I don't really have anything other than that for him, just superficial items, but so I nominated him. And then number 2, my serious nominee is Ferrari. I know Carlos won in Singapore. I'm aware of that the only non-Red Bull win was a Ferrari. I'm not dumb. But it felt like they took a step back. Last year they were challenging for race wins, Charles and Carlos. It just feels like Ferrari took a step back, Charles took a step back, Carlos was solid and always around the front of the mix when they had a chance. But if it were a graph over the last 5 years, or maybe 4 years, let's say, the Ferrari ascent has been coming since the 2019 fuel debacle. They've been kind of coming back. 2022, we're like, hello. And then 2023, we're like, hello? So that was the way I would do it. I would nominate Ferrari as my second nominee for disappointment. Robert, to you.
Okay. Surprisingly, we didn't have a complete overlap of this one. So one nomination is too much consistency and reliability in the sport. We had no DNFs this year almost from mechanical. An engine never let go and plumes of smoke everywhere, which I hadn't realized how much that can spice up a race. I know we get crashes every now and again, but you just want that kind of, they tune the car to run it so fast that eventually it's going to let go and just break down, and we're going to have an external combustion engine on the side of the road. But this didn't feel like that ever happened this year, which I know is a strange thing, but yeah, I was disappointed by that. This one is almost the same as yours, Brian, and I did tweak the wording to get rid of being team specific. It started off as team specific, and you'll guess the team based on your nomination, is not enough battles for the lead.
Yes.
And that's not even because we said last week maybe Checo could have taken it to Max more often. We could have had battles for the lead, and we all saw what we missed out on when we watched one in Singapore. But this did start as Ferrari never battling for the lead. So therefore, I'm going to award it to. It's going for battle for the leads. Little asterisks down the bottom, mainly Ferrari. That's my biggest of the dirty.
Not enough battles for the lead. I like your asterisks, too, by the way. You're giving me grief for trying to have too many nominees. You just gave 2 winners.
Well, only because there's like a Venn diagram there where our nominations overlap.
Right,
so,
true.
The next one is up for you to decide, and it will be the biggest feel-good moment this season.
Yes.
So I will pump out my first 2 nominations, and then we can see where you take it. Carlos pole in Monza, Ferrari fan. I'm a self-confessed Ferrari fan. Watching him get pole there, the radio message where he was just so happy, wanting to know that he got it, and then they confirmed it, just was
a great moment. And just so you know, since I'm the decider, that's not a winner. Keep going. I'll tell you now.
And then the second feel-good moment was Piastri and his sprint win.
Oh, that's a good one.
And his interview afterwards was just so much brimming with he was so happy, and because he was so happy, we were so happy. So those are my 2 feel-good moments.
Those are good, and the Piastri one is especially good. I actually have 3 because I told you I can't follow the rules. I do have a Carlos one, but it's different. I have Carlos winning in Singapore, and especially as he held Lando in his DRS and then had to come across the radio. It's on purpose. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being in Canada with you, but that's not the moment. The moment is the GOAT podium. Max, Fernando, Lewis, and Adrian Newey. Those were the 4 people on the podium in Canada. That may be the greatest podium ever assembled. I'm fairly certain it was. That someone had done the
and we were there, which makes it even greater.
And we saw it from our seats. I mean, it just happened because we were there. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened that way. They would have put Adrian up there for us, anyone else. And then my last and final one, and the winner of the 2023 Dirty.
Well, Canada's not the winner.
No. For the biggest feel-good moment of the year is Checo and Fernando battling at Interlagos, back and forth, for a podium position. It was tremendous to watch. See, like Top Gear, which is the person who decides just awards it.
Oh man.
Next up is the best side plot of the year, aka the story most likely to feature on Drive to Survive. I almost said Driving to Survive, but that's kind of the same. And so this one, I have really only one nomination, Rob, for you, but it's complex. It is complex. There's
Oh my
multi-parts.
god. It's
It's
one nomination in 2 parts.
It's Alpha Tauri.
Should have done an award for best, the award for person most likely to not follow the instructions and
You
make
wouldn't
stuff
need
up as
other
they go along,
nominees.
and there wouldn't be any complexity in the voting structure there. It
Just
would
me.
just say Brian.
Alpha Tauri. Nick versus Yuki. As we talked about to start the season, I had Nick outpointing Yuki. I think Nimrod had Yuki losing his seat because Nick was going to do so well. No one thought it would flop the way he did. Then Danny Rick comes in, and I see Drive to Survive loving this because they love Danny Rick, and he comes back, and he's their favorite. So now you've got Alpha Tauri, then you got Danny Rick, and then we go to Holland, and his fellow countryman bins it, and he comes around the corner, he goes, oh, crap, and he goes straight into the corner, breaks his wrist. He's out, and then Liam F. Lawson, out of nowhere, parachutes in with 5 minutes before the race. They're like zipping his suit up, throwing him in the car, and he does tremendous. And then you got Franz Tost retiring, and then Danny Rick is back, and then we're giving him a new name, but not really. Are they the Blue Bulls? Who really knows? Rumors are now, and these are out there.
Has
Rumors.
this still got anything to do with the nomination?
Christian Horner could be the team principal for 2 teams. We know that's not going to happen. Alpha Tauri, therefore, is my best side plot of the year, and all of the chaos there. Back to you, Rob.
Gosh, no wonder you could only come up with one.
It has many parts.
Well, I mean, which is bizarre. So, my 2 kind of almost like Drive to Survive episodes are A Tale of Two Red Bulls, which is just, split episode. One side showing Max's year, the other side showing Checo's year. That side plot. The side plot between the 2 teammates has to be an episode. I think we actually joked that we should do an episode where we try to predict all the episodes that are going to come in the next season of Drive to Survive. And my other award, which I'm going to give the winner to, and I think mine's a much sort of way of probably saying exactly what you just spent 6 hours saying, is the return of Danny Rick.
Yeah.
Then leaving, then returning again. I mean, they will absolutely lap that up over in Drive to Survive. Him coming back, breaking his hand, having to watch from the sidelines, probably still smiling just as much as he ever does because he's back in the sport. Watching Lawson be amazing, knowing he's coming back, doing well again. Yeah, they're absolutely going to love that and absolutely lap it up. So Danny Rick returns, leaves, and returns again.
We should use laughter to highlight his award, as only Danny Rick would want.
Right, so now, Brian, you get to decide on what we're going to give out to the worst race of the season.
And I can be swayed here, so make an argument for your nominees.
My 2 are... I wasn't going to put this down, then I reflected on what we spoke about last week. And the fact that my first nomination is for a race that I even forgot had taken place because it was so boring. But I bizarrely have thought it was good in previous years, and that's Hungary.
Oh, okay.
I went back and I listened to our episode this week when we talked about it. My God, I didn't listen to the whole episode. We really had to try to dig deep to make something to talk about on that race. Followed by, as we named it on the pod episode, Abu Dhabi, where absolutely nothing happened. So those are my 2 worst races of the season. See what you've got, and I honestly don't care which one you give it to because they're all bad.
Well, thankfully we overlap on one. I had 2 in here. I had Mexico ? And we talked a little bit about this last week. It's hard for me to hate too much on Mexico because of the stadium. Literally, I'm looking for track markers at this point. I'm like, that's how bad it is. But I agree with you. Abu Dhabi wins the award. It wins the award because I don't remember the last time we had real good racing there, and do not tell me about 2021. So to me, I look at it, they've tried to improve the track. It hasn't worked. They spent $5 billion building that whole section of land and marina and all that, and the racetrack just still stinks. And whenever anyone says Tilke tracks in a bad way, they point to Abu Dhabi, and they pay money for it to be last, which is a bad way to send off the year. And the sound effect for their win of the Dirty of 2023 is none other than... I realize I don't have any booing. And so we'll move on now to the opposite of the worst race of the season, the best race of the season, the highlights. Rob gets to decide, and of course, I've screwed up again, and I have 4 nominations. So,
Oh my God.
but I'll go fast. Brazil, as I already said a little bit about it, but Charles went out on the formation lap, if you remember. The first
Yep.
lap was carnage and chaos, and tires are bouncing around, and then the last lap battles with Fernando and Checo. Australia, I hated it at the time. In retrospect, it was fun to watch because of all of the restarts, a lot of jeopardy, a lot to race for. Vegas, which was horrendous for the whole weekend, it came through at the end, and I thought it was a good race personally. And my winner, and my nomination, my first nomination is Singapore, just because of racing for the front and the way George went off. Rob, tell us what you think.
Okay. I can't believe you did 4 and didn't follow the rules again. I did 3. But I didn't. I did 2 real ones and one that I'm going to remove from the voting. And because I'm deciding, I'm removing from your voting as well.
That's fine.
Singapore doesn't count. It was an anomaly of a race which gave us a little insight into what we could have had. There was an old quiz show in the UK called Bullseye, a darts throwing quiz game, and they had this great thing at the end that if you failed and you didn't win the big prize, they didn't just sort of like slap you on the back. Oh, never mind, go home. Let's tune in next week for the next one. They brought the star prize out in front of the loser and said, "Let's take a look at what you could have won," and then put it there and just watch the person's face kind of collapse in disappointment as they hadn't won the star prize. That was Singapore for us last year. That was the shiny object that we didn't get every single race. We couldn't have that every week, right? So I'm kind of putting Singapore off there and saying, look, you've had enough. We've talked about you enough, so you're going off to the side. So the best race from the rest of it, I had Vegas, which overlaps with you.
Yes.
I also had Zandvoort,
where the rain and the chaos. Yeah.
Rain at the start line, then it dried, then with like 10 laps or whatever it was to go, the heavens opened again, and it was just epic, even if it wasn't a battle for the lead. So
was that the only race where we actually saw blue tires used for more than a couple laps?
No, we thought blue tires were coming. Don't you remember? Because I went back and looked at our show notes on this to see what we thought, and you've written in the notes, heavens open again, 10 laps left, everyone's on inters. Are we going to see the blue? No, red flag for 45 minutes until it was dry enough to go racing on the inters again. Okay. Blue tires are destined never to get used in this sport. So, Vegas or Zandvoort. As much as I really, really, really did like Vegas, and it really, really surprised me and was much better than I thought and less cringy than I thought, I'm giving the dirty to the sand-blasted track of Zandvoort. Really enjoyed that this year.
Congratulations to the Dutchies. That was a great race. You're right. And I actually did recently see some of that again. I don't remember why. And I'm like, God, I forgot how much I liked that race, the chaos of it all. We have the final 2 awards of the year. This is a big, big deal. There are many people and many of the F1 teams sitting on their hands on bated breath. The first is the pits. We will close with the king of the pits, obviously. And so for the entire season, who was the pits?
You're the pits.
All right.
How many do you have in this one?
I've 1. How many do you have?
You have 1. Okay, I got 2.
Okay, well, I'll go first, and then you can do yours, and then we can argue.
Okay.
Or no, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, go on. Go.
Checo by a country mile. How does a guy who I like, who I just went back and watched his Bahrain win, when he was at Racing Point, how does a guy who I like finish second in the championship, and be a disappointment? He was lapped. He had less than half as many points as Max in the same friggin' car. And I think if you look at his season after Miami, it was basically a disaster. He did a lot of his damage early in the first 5 races, and I gave it to Checo. I didn't even come up with a second, so I'd love to hear what you had.
Well, I came up with a second just to give us something to talk about because my first was Checo.
We may have a winner here, but keep going.
For every reason you just said. And my second, if I just look at teams that I thought, this one's a constructor, a team that I thought took a big step backwards because I thought it was on an upward trajectory and I expected a lot more from this year, and they went into witness protection for the entire year and did nothing, was Haas.
Yeah.
I just thought they stunk the place out. But like the BO in the car in Seinfeld, I don't think anything else stunk the place out more than Checo. But
so Checo, congratulations on your 2023 being a recipient of the Dirties. Here it is.
And now,
top
of the show. Who is going to be crowned the dirty side king of the pits for 2023?
And I fixed the volume this time just for this award. All the headphone listeners, you're okay.
I'm so glad you fixed that because now I can actually hear you after we listened to it. Because the first time you played that, I was not ready.
I didn't know what was happening, and
I think my eardrum shattered.
It panicked me, and I didn't know how to find the button to turn it down or off. I'm like, no. Yeah.
Well,
so
I'll
you
go
go
first
first
this
this time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, although I've got a funny feeling these two
I have
awards
two.
might be opposite sides of the same coin. But I have two. My King of the Pits either has to be Oscar Piastri for being the greatest rookie since Hamilton and being absolutely fantastic this year.
Do you have an Oscar poster on your ceiling of your bedroom? What's happening over
No,
there?
because I wouldn't give it to him, despite the fact he's my second. The first one has to be, without doubt, because it would be ridiculous for us not to give it to the guy that has absolutely destroyed the field this year. And my King of the Pits for 23 is Max Verstappen.
Yeah, okay. So that's a good call. My two, and I'll start with my second, Fernando Alonso. And I kind of referenced this last episode.
As you absolutely man-crushed all over him last week.
Yeah, but it was stuff I left out because I wanted to save some powder. So he started out on fire. He became a new Fernando, kind of happy-go-lucky to some extent, a team guy. This had to have been the biggest surprise of the beginning of the season, tied with Aston Martin's resurgence. But Fernando's teammate-ship, if that's a thing, partnership with Lance. Lance tapped him in like the first or second race, and Fernando's like, "Oh, Lance, thank you for giving me extra speed." I'm like, there's no way. This guy was so different. He's handing out brake bias settings, and like I said last week, of course, Lance went flying off. He was watching the TV in Miami, I think, and said, "I saw Lance's overtake at turn 13."
I'm going to time you out here because I didn't time you out last week because we had so many people to kind of keep on the microphone, right? Do you think that was good team? I mean, or was that the playful side of Alonso going, wait, hold on. Give these settings to Lance. It'll be great for his brakes because they gave him those settings. Like you say, the very next picture we see on TV is him going off at a corner.
You can't give a kid a Stradivarius and expect it to sound perfect. And so Fernando was a podium machine to start the year, and Lance wasn't. And that car, it obviously fell apart. His battle, I already said this, with Checo in Brazil was epic. Rewatch TV. And that's after the car had been sort of bad for a bit. But yeah, Max. It's Max. It's 100% Max. Fernando did an admirable job. I did not realize how much I liked him until last week. And apparently I do. But if giving it to anyone other than Max would be the most ridiculous thing in the history of awards. And so Max Verstappen, you have won the 2023 The Dirty for King of the Pits. He's so good. I mean, he's just so good.
He is, but I'm a little emotional because, giving out the awards, that really means that is it done. That is the 2023 season and all the different reviews that we tend to wrap around it done, consigned to history. And all we've got to look forward to now is next season. Come on, baby.
It's not that far away, man. Like
it's not. It's like 60-something days. It might even be less than that now.
Well, and it's usually in 6 weeks or so, we'll see Drive to Survive, which will tide us over as the car launches are happening. We'll have car launches and Drive to Survive.
Yeah, let's...
Livery launches? What do I have to call them Rob's special name? What?
No, Drive to Survive. Me and you got so excited about it last year, and we planned out we were going to binge it, and then we were going to do an episode dedicated to reviewing it, which, by the way, we didn't, because neither of us really enjoyed the season.
No, well, I thought it was better than the year prior.
But, I don't think you did. In changing your tune now, I went back and looked. We decided to bin the Drive to Survive review episode because we didn't think it was that great.
Wasn't it I think it was better than the year prior, which was Made Up Action. This I thought was a little better.
This was just made up crap again. The only good bit was the very first episode. Was it the very first episode when it was Benotti and Gunther going around the vineyards in there? I watched that again. But anyway, so I was underwhelmed by that last year. I'm now almost more interested to see how they take stuff that we all watched all year and morph it into episodes that didn't really happen and add the drama in weird orders that didn't really happen.
They've been doing that for a while now.
Yeah, but they seem to be getting better at it each year. So anyway, yeah, there's that to look forward to. Like you say, the livery reveals have started coming through. The biggest thing we've got to look forward to in 2-3 days? 1st of January? You know what's coming 1st of January, don't you?
No.
Oh my gosh, Brian, have you not got this tattooed on your brain? Alfa Romeo or Sauber,
the name?
are announcing their real name, not their new name that they announced that wasn't really the new name. The new name is dropped on 1st of Jan, apparently.
I didn't know that. Is it? I'll put a guess out there. Sauber, Steak, Kick, F1, Diet Coke, Pepsi Cola, Frito Lay, Car of the Year, Team Racing, Scuderia. I get it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure you've nailed that. I was kind of working out if they could make like it spell Sauber, but they, it's not going to work because you got but
Audi. They just lean into 26.
Unified.
Bamboozled.
No, that's not going to happen. So, so that's that for season 2 of the Dirty Side.
Sweet.
For season 2023 of F1, and we're going to go and probably consume quite a little bit of alcohol between now and the next time we record. I have no idea what we're doing next week or if we're doing anything. We will probably try to pull something together. If we don't appear, it's because we drank too much and couldn't come up with any content. But yeah, I think it's just time to wish everyone Happy New Year.
For sure. Happy New Year, everybody. When this comes out on New Year's Eve, we hope you all have a wonderful and safe New Year. And if it's after New Year's when you listen to this, I know Rob and I wish you the greatest of things in 2024. We can't wait for the 24 season, and we look forward to talking to you each soon. Be well, everyone.